I was too comfortable, and I was never going to achieve what I wanted to achieve working for someone else. I had to kind of put it all on the line and go for it.
Are you content in your business? I'm Si McMahon, and I'm on a mission to help business leaders and brand owners succeed through sharing stories, advice and inspiration. This is the Content in Business podcast. Welcome to this spotlight session where I interview business leaders and brand owners, find out what makes them great through their stories, advice and inspiration. And I'm with Gavin Kirkwood, Managing Director of Kirkwood Asset Finance. Welcome to the show, Gavin.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for joining us. First of all, tell us about your business, what it is you do and how you got started.
Yeah, certainly. So Gavin Kirkwood's business is called Kirkwood Asset Finance. So we essentially do what it says in the tin. We are an asset finance broker. We help businesses put finance in place for whatever asset they may be looking for, whether that be car, van, truck, it could be plant, it could be anything from buildings to scaffolding to anything you can think of. If it's fundable, we can put funding in place for it. Now, specifically, we actually specialise in automotive. That's my background. That's what I've done for pretty much most of my career. So we focus mainly on car, van and truck. But that doesn't mean that we can't help with other assets. It's just the kind of bread and butter that we look for is car, van and truck.
Okay, so if someone needs to get a vehicle, for instance, like a truck, it's through yourself that will help secure that finance as a kind of getting them the best kind of deal or best contract for them.
Yeah, so essentially what happens is there's a number of things that can happen here, Si. So the client might need help with everything. So they might need help with supplying and sourcing the vehicle, and they might need help with the actual finance itself as well. Or they might just need help with the finance, or they might just need help with the sourcing and supplying of the vehicle. So there's three things that could essentially happen. So most big fleets already have terms in place with the manufacturers, and they've already ordered the vehicles well in advance because of the lead times and so on and so forth. So they'll have their 200, 300 vans on order. And then when it comes to point of delivery, that's when they'll then come out to someone potentially like me to say, right, we need £4 million, £1 million, £300,000, whatever it might be. This is the term I'm looking for, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year. We're looking to do it on a finance lease. We're looking to do it on an HP, whatever it might suit. We can tailor make it to suit whatever client they want. And essentially we will then just make the introduction. We'll go to the finance company. We'll put the finance line in place, paperwork, get it all paid, sorted, and then the client just runs that vehicle over whatever term, over whatever period. The second option is we'll speak to clients. They'll then come to us and say, right, we're looking to replace 200 vehicles this year. We don't know what we're going to do. This is what we're thinking about. So we can then help them put that in place. So we can go and speak to the manufacturers, to the dealer groups, to the suppliers, try and source the vehicles on their behalf, try and get some terms in place on their behalf, and then arrange the finance also. And then we also have clients who will come to us and say, we've got finance lines already in place, but we know you can source and supply vehicles. Can you help us find 5 of these or 10 of these or 100 of these or whatever it might be? So we cover all aspects. The core business is straight finance, but we can help with the sourcing and supplying. But as I say, you've got three options. We can source and supply only, we can finance only, or we can source, supply and finance.
Okay, so quite a range of services, but yeah, like you say, there's a core kind of best value type thing that you offer there as well. How's the journey been so far at the business growth? When did you found the business?
So we went live in May last year, 22nd of May last year is when we physically went live. We did set it up, and I had to resign from my old job. I had to have 3 months garden leave. So there was a bit of time in between. But in terms of the business actually physically going live, it was the 22nd of May last year. So we've been going just under a year now.
And how's it been so far?
Really good. Yeah, the response has been excellent. Really overwhelming, actually, to be fair. The response has been really good, both from people that I've known for a long time, from new people, from new clients. The business coming to us organically now is pretty good, through very little marketing, other than maybe me posting out on LinkedIn and something that we've done recently. Everything's been purely through either organic growth through referrals from existing clients, or from just requests from me picking up the phone or dropping an email to someone, or a message on LinkedIn or whatever. But yeah, so far so good. Numbers have been good. We've got some decent opportunities on the go currently. We've got some big opportunities that we've closed, and yeah, it's getting better and it's getting bigger, and certainly getting busier every single day, which isn't always a good thing. There's more business than there is hours in the day at the minute, but in a good way.
Yeah, it's absolutely a good place to be. What do you think it is that has grown that business, especially in the time that you've been going so far? What do you think that it is about Kirkwood Asset Finance that is, stands apart from the competition, or makes you different in whatever way?
So I think what we do is very similar to 1,000 other brokers out there. There's, in terms of the products, in terms of the services, in terms of the banks and the funders that we work with, we're all pretty much playing from the same pond. I think what differs us and what differs myself is just the tenacity and the relentlessness of me. It is only me. I've got my wife in the business helping from an admin point of view, but everything else, it's just me. So I've always been successful in the sales roles that I've worked for. Always been up at the top in terms of the top earners and the top performers. And that comes down to just pure sales, just going out, sourcing, finding the business, not taking no for an answer, and just putting in the graft in terms of picking the phone up, following up on opportunities, not letting your pipeline run low, always continuing. So one of the key things that kind of separated me at my last sales roles is when you hit 100% the target, you don't stop. You move on to 150, you aim for 200, you aim for 250%. And the kind of last job that I did, I was there for 4 years, and that was really the catalyst for me, if I'm honest. That job working for a company called ARI Fleet that then changed to Holman. Working for them for 4 years really gave me the confidence and really gave me the kind of the business know-how and the acumen to go, I want to do this myself. I'd been successful at other roles, and I kind of started off my early career in vehicle rental. I then moved into contract hire and leasing. And then when I moved into Holman, I worked in asset finance. So it gave me the full scope of the automotive industry. And spending 4 years at Holman, the people, the leadership, just the place that it kind of, the mindset it gave me the confidence to go, right, I can do this, but I can do this bigger and better. One thing about me is I'm very ambitious. I have huge plans for later in life. And my thought was Holman was great for me, really good, made some good money, made some good connections, and I had a really good time over the 4 years I was there. However, I was too comfortable, and I was never going to achieve what I wanted to achieve working for someone else. I had to kind of put it all on the line and go for it. So made the decision to leave Holman, and now that there is no money coming in, if I don't earn it, it makes it a lot it's more relevant. So you have to get up every day, you have to make the calls, you have to follow up on the opportunities. And I've always been very driven, as I've said, but this is a different level now because it's for me. And luckily the business has grown enough over the last while that one of the big things for me is my wife's always had I wouldn't say a tough job, but for the last 10 years, she's worked as a kind of catering manager. She was up at 4:30 every single morning, out the door at 5 to start work at 6, finished at 2. Then she was doing the school run. And one of the big kind of key ambitions that I wanted was to get her out of work. So we managed to get to the point a few months back where the business was doing well enough that it could sustain 2 people. So that was the first thing. So
fantastic.
We got her out of work. got her in into the business. She's now doing the admin. She's doing a bit of prospecting. But what that's also done for us, if it's honest, is we've got a little girl. So for me, I work nationally. So like this week alone, I was in London, I was in Oxford, I've been in Bristol, I've been in Leicester, all over the last 2 days. So the miles I put in, the effort that I put in sometimes means that I need to be away for a few days. So getting my wife out of work, getting her into the business frees up the childcare. We don't have to worry about getting her to school, getting her collected from school and so on and so forth. So that was a big thing. And obviously getting her out of the early morning starts was a huge thing. So that was a big driver for us, and we've been lucky that the business has gone well enough to achieve that. Now we're looking at the point where we're trying to get to where we can bring on maybe 1, 2, 3 more people, whether that be some additional admin help, whether that be some salespeople, to kind of start growing the business to the next level. But that's conversations we're having at the minute, and we're looking into next financial year. Obviously, we're coming to the end of year end just now. But yeah, so it's been good. It's been tough. A lot of long hours, a lot of working weekends, a lot of travelling. But I would say over the last 10 months, 11 months, whatever it's been now, it's been really positive, and I'm grateful to say that it's going well. And I can't see myself working for someone else now. I wouldn't want to do it. I'm loving life. So
there's a couple of things that I want to double back on there. That's fantastic story, by the way, and insight. I think first thing, that whole kind of just keeping going attitude. Whether you need the fear to drive you to do that sometimes, either the fear or the idea of such a big win, which I think it sounds like is both in your case, that making the jump into it gives you the fear, but obviously, like you say, there was big plans for the future anyway. But that still needs that kind of self-starter motivated attitude, especially when you're, you own the business, you're the boss, and even more so when it's only you. It is hard to kind of have that kind of self-starter attitude, but it's so important, isn't it, to just keep going, and especially if it's, it feels like a big mountain to climb, or it's starting to get tough. You get a few no's or something like that. That keep going on is really, really important, really powerful.
Yeah, and listen, every day I still have issues that are crazy, and it stresses you out, and you start to question why you're doing it. One of the things that come into my head a lot is, I know people talk about this quite often, is imposter syndrome, where you think, am I good enough to do this? Is it the right decision? Should I have left the big job with the salary and the comfort and the stability? But then the good minutes come, where things go perfectly, everything goes to plan, clients say yes, there's no issues, but you need to take the good with the bad. It's part and parcel. Working for someone else doesn't mean it's all going to be rainbows and butterflies. You're going to have issues and problems there as well. So I think the key thing for me is, I know what I can do, I know what I can achieve, and the only way I can achieve that is by constantly looking for the next thing. Winning one deal's great, winning one big deal's great, but that doesn't mean that you stop. That means that you just keep moving and keep building. And it's something I've always been pretty good at. And I'd like to think, if you were to speak to any of my previous sales directors or managers, it's the one thing that I've always kind of had going for me is that tenacity to keep going and to overachieve, rather than just sit back and hit number and forget about it.
Yeah. I think the other point you mentioned is about that pipeline, keeping that flowing, when things get busy, when it sounds like it is, busy for you at the moment, it's often one of the first things to go. It is that proactive new business effort, because you're dealing with the existing clients. You've got things on your plate right now that you would need to respond to. It's so easy to go, okay, well, I'll get onto the prospecting, back onto that next week, or, I won't put anything out this week. It's just a bit too busy. And time again, I think that's one of the big mistakes that businesses make, especially in a startup stage, and actually further down the line as well, when businesses start to really boom, is it's all hands on deck on the work that's right now. But what happens when that work is done? What's next? And so often then suddenly like, oh, okay, we better get back out there and start all over again. But lead times, in a B2B situation, that you can be talking months, maybe even years, can't you?
Yeah, exactly that. So there's a couple of things to that. So what I do is I focus and specialise, and where I want to shop is in the corporate fleet market. So I want to speak to clients and companies who have 200, 300, 400 vehicle fleets, all the way up into the thousands. They're the kind of clients that I go out and actually look for. They're the ones that I prospect. They're the ones that I try and book meetings in for. Those are the ones that I want. However, as you say, lead times on those can be anywhere between 6, 12, 18, 24 months before you get an opportunity. Either it's not the right time, they're under contract, or they're going through transitions, or there's a new person just started, or a number of different things. But those ones can take a long time. So there's an element of patience and there's an element of consistency required with that kind of level of business. The SME stuff, where it's a one-man, one vehicle, one-man band business, or small plumbers and sparkies and small businesses who run a fleet of 5, 10, 15, 20 vehicles. Those are the ones where you can turn around quite quickly. Decisions can be made quite quickly. So that's kind of your bread and butter business that kind of keeps the lights on and keeps the food on the table. But kind of one of the key things that we do, and the reason we've kind of embarked on the helping with the source and supply, not only because it's what I've done for a long time, but also because when you go into a customer and we put a credit line in place, say of 1 million, 2 million, 5 million pounds, and we know that they are waiting on fleet to come through their own existing pipeline to draw down on that line, there's nothing to say that something else couldn't be of interest to them. So when a supplier sends me an email and says, Gavin, I've got 10 sprinters sitting here in stock ready to go, the first thing I do is take that email, send it out to everybody that I've got existing lines with, or everybody that I know would have a requirement for that vehicle. 9 out of 10 times you don't get a response, but one, you'll get a response saying, yep, yeah, I want all of them. Give me the 10 of them, or give me one of them, or give me 5 of them. So you're generating business from literally sending out 5 or 10 emails in the space of 10 minutes. So always being proactive that way goes a long way. But it also makes you kind of invaluable, because when you open an email and you see, actually, that's exactly what I need, the next time I send an email, it might not be for them, but they'll come back and say, it's not for us this time, but keep us in the loop. And that kind of helps a lot. But yeah, so pipeline's obviously massive. If you let your pipeline run low, you don't have a business. You need to constantly top that up. And it was something that was drummed into me at the early stages of my career when I was just getting into sales, is you always have to feed the top. It doesn't matter what comes out the bottom, you always constantly have to feed the top. So something that's really important to us.
100%. So you talked a bit about potential growth of the business. What's the goal? What's the dream for the business?
So the goal would be to get it to a point where we've got a number of sales guys out on the roads. We've got the admin team where we can actually start to bring a lot of things in-house. At the minute, the funding is all done through a panel of funders, which is fine. That's the way that will continue. But the sourcing and supplying is all done through various other suppliers. We would love to get to a point where we've got the guys out selling it, we've got the funding, but we can also supply the vehicles potentially through us rather than through someone else. But we'd need to get to a certain size, we'd need to commit to a certain volume, and so on and so forth. But that's a long way down the line. For now, the short-term goal is just to get to the point where we've gone through year one, making good money, making good profit, which is good. Year two is to get to the point where we can actually start to maybe increase that. So exactly what we're doing, but just have another person or a couple of people doing what I'm doing, just help grow the business, get the turnover up, more importantly, get the profit up, and then take it from there. But not too sure exactly how big we want to go and where we want to get to. Just now it was all about giving us that security, which we've got for the first year, and then moving forward into the second year just to see how big we can get that, and then take it from there.
And you mentioned a little bit about some of the activity that you've done. You talked about posting on LinkedIn and everything. You also mentioned obviously about making a lot of phone calls and everything. In terms of marketing efforts and getting the name out there, what have you found that works the most, and what have you found that's challenging, and what are you thinking that you want to do but can't do, or vice versa?
Yeah, so it's very cliche. Like cold calling, obviously, is still very strong. I know there's a kind of varied opinion on cold calling, but it takes a different mindset, because you can go through hundreds of calls with zero response, zero meetings booked, zero conversations. It's just a no, not for us. And you need to have that resilience just to keep picking the phone up. But it's also very time consuming. And when you're trying to do 50 other things, it's the first thing normally to go. So I've tried separating some time where I just cold call. So I know I've blocked out 2 hours, not doing anything else other than just cold calling, and that works well. I've tried email campaigns where I'll just put together some emails, send it out, and you get, again, varied response. Some people will come back to you and you can book some meetings, and that goes places. Other times your email's deleted before it's even read. So again, it's a varied response. LinkedIn's normally pretty good. I'm pretty good on LinkedIn in terms of I try and max out my connections every month, make sure I'm connecting with relevant people and so that they can see what I'm posting on LinkedIn. I've just recently brought on a company to help with some marketing, so they do kind of 4 posts a week for me. I just pre-approve it all at the start of the month, and they'll do it all, and it's all managed accordingly. I pay a small fee for them to do that. So that relinquishes some effort on my behalf. Just means that my name's constantly getting out there. And then something I've done recently, Si, which was really good. I say really good, but I went out to Christmas time, and I bought kind of 200 bars of chocolate. So just Galaxy bars, kind of standard, typical, normal size bars of chocolate. And I got branded labels printed up for them. So Kirkwood Asset Finance, little Santa hat, little QR code to say scan this, and it directs you to my website, so on and so forth. And I got a company letterheaded letter printed up, just basically saying, Merry Christmas. Now's not the right time to chat, but can we speak in January? Maybe work for coffee or whatever. Sent that out to 200 prospects that I thought, fleet managers, finance directors, CFOs, MDs, just 200 companies that I wanted to speak to. And the response was really, really good. So from one of those, now I've had maybe 4 or 5 opportunities from that, but one of those has come back to me straight away. We booked a meeting to go in and see them early January. We've got a credit line in place, and we're in the process of funding 50 cars for them currently. So just that one little effort, and that 200 bars of chocolate or whatever it was it did, maybe cost me, with the postage, with the printing, maybe £200-400. It's paid for itself way more than it costs just with this one opportunity alone. And as I say, there's 3 or 4 other opportunities ongoing from that. And then there's a couple other things we've got in the pipeline for this year of a kind of similar but different ilk. And what we're trying to do is just grow the reputation, get some referrals, but also try and separate us from the competition by doing a little kind of different thing here and there. So I'll keep that under wraps for now. But yeah, we've got a couple of things in the pipeline for this year.
That could be for the next one. We can update on how things are going then. I think that's time and time again, you people see the benefit of giving, whether it's gifts, whether it's help, information, knowledge, giving things away freely. Time and time again, you get more back than you give. And case in point there with what you did with the Christmas chocolate bars, I've seen it so many times be really difficult to sell that idea in a big in a big corporation as well, where you say, look, I only want to spend a little bit of this. I think it's going to make a real big difference, keep us front of mind, keep us in a good place, existing or new customers or both. And it's hesitant to allocate the spend to it, to do that. Obviously, when obviously a small business is it's well, like you say, it's paid itself, paid for itself time over.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of kind of corporate red tape. A lot of the big companies that you work for, they have various different criteria in which you're allowed to do things and which you're not allowed to do things. And the good thing about this, and what I love about this, is I can do anything that I think would work. I don't have to ask anyone for permission. And I get sometimes with the big companies, they've spent a lot of money on certain campaigns, so you're told you have to do it this way and you have to do this for X amount of time. For me, I'm trying things. If it works, I continue it. If it doesn't, I stop it and I try something else. I don't have to worry about, I've invested X amount of money in that. Like, if the chocolate thing didn't work, I tried it. It was a small investment, but luckily it's paid off. If I try the next one that doesn't pay off, then we just try the next one, and then the next one. You just need to not get disencouraged. You just need to keep that mindset up of the next one will be a yes. So just keep trying. The
last question for me, I think, is what would be the one piece of advice that you'd give to someone else in your position, like a new business owner or a business leader?
I guess get as much advice and get as much help from the people who have been there and done it. So I'm quite lucky that I've got maybe 3, 4, 5 friends who all run their own businesses as well. And I've built up a couple of relationships recently. Just since I started the business, I've became close with quite a few different people who are in the same situation as well. We just constantly speak. Constantly asking, right, how do you do that, and what's the reason, why do you do it that way, and just constantly getting different people's opinions on various problems, and likewise sharing my good experiences with them. So it's good seeing different people's perspectives on it, because when you're working for the big companies, you don't always get to see all these kind of little issues and problems and things that crop up and the worries that come with that. So having people who have been there, done it, and got through the other end, it's really helpful. And if you're not in that position where you have people who are friends who run their own businesses, then maybe try and seek people out in that position that are willing to give you that advice, because it's been invaluable for me. As I say, just being able to pick the phone up and vent, ask a question, or just say, I'm absolutely buzzing today, thank you for the little pat in the back kind of thing. That's the one thing I would say. But on the flip side, for anybody in my position who is working for one of the big companies, is doing really well and is making some good money, but has ambitions to go for it, I would highly recommend it. If you're in a position to do it, give it a try. If it doesn't work, what's the worst that can happen? But I wouldn't change it for the world now. I genuinely wouldn't.
That's great. I love that. Well, thanks so much for being on the show. We'll link through to your website. We'll link through to your social profiles. And it's been really informative, really inspirational spotlight session. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it, Si. Thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll catch up again and we'll find out what these secret plans are.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, okay, mate. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for watching or listening to the show. Be content, be happy, and keep that growth going. And I'll see you next time in the Content in Business podcast. Bye.